Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something we haven't done in a while. We're going to be doing a Salesforce project. We're going to be doing this in Trailhead. We're going to create a self-registration flow for an Experience Cloud site. So if you want to earn a new badge, get some points, and learn something along the way, you can work through this with me. The link for this project is in the description. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out new Salesforce content each week. And let's go ahead and start working on our project. All right, if you haven't done so already, make sure you have a sandbox environment created. If not, you'll need to create one, and you're going to need to be in setup, and we're going to go into quick find and search flow, and we're going to select flows. And once here, we're going to hit new flow, and we are going to be doing a screen flow today, so you can leave it on the initial checked there and hit create. Now we're going to go ahead and create a new resource element. So on the left screen, your little window here that has the toggle toolbox, you'll open that up and you're going to hit new resource. And we're going to be selecting a new variable here under resource type. And we can go ahead and call this contact ID, just like that. And you're going to want to make sure the data type is text, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and hit done. Now we do have 4 other elements that we need to create under the resource. And I want to walk you through those as well because each one's a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and select new resource. The resource type is variable, and the API name on this is individual ID, and data type is text, and you're going to hit done. And we hit new resource again, variable. API name is login flow user ID, and this is going to be a text variable as well. And you're going to mark this one available for input, and then you hit done. You're going to hit new resource again, and this will be variable. We're going to call this registrant's account, and it will be text. You're going to hit done. And then new resource again. This will be variable with user info, and this will be a record data type. And the object here is the user object, which is right here. And you're going to hit done. All right, perfect. Now we have our resource elements created. Now we're going to go ahead and save the flow. And they give us a name to give it to, and it's called privacy settings. And when you tab over, it'll automatically populate the API name. And for the Trailhead, you're going to make sure you want to name everything the way they say to. That way it passes the test at the end. We're going to go ahead and hit show advanced. And under how to run the flow, they're recommending putting system context without sharing access all data. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. And we're going to X out. It's just basically telling us we don't have a element connected to our start element, and that's okay. We just wanted to save so we don't lose any info. Now that's the end of the first part of the project. So you can go ahead and verify and see if you get a check mark to move on. And I verified mine. I got my 100 points. I did that properly. So if you're following along, you should be good too. And we're going to go ahead and tackle the next step. All right, next part, we're going to go ahead and add a get element to this. We're going to hit the plus sign, and we're going to hit get records. For the label, we're going to put in get user info, tab over, so it populates the API name. And now the object we're going to be using is the user object. I'm going to hit here. Now we're going to set up some filter criteria. Now for the field, we're going to put in ID, and it's the user ID, and it'll be the value they give you, which is login flow underscore user ID. And you are going to store the first record it comes to. You're not going to select all records. And we are going to choose fields and assign variables advanced. And we're going to leave this checked under together and a record variable. And we're going to store it in user info. And then we're going to select the fields we want to store. Now we're going to want to store the first name, the last name, the account ID, and the contact ID. Perfect. And we will hit done here. And go ahead and save your flow. And you'll notice that yellow caution sign has went away because we have an element attached to the start now. Go ahead and back into Trailhead and hit verify to see if you've completed all the steps. If so, you'll be ready to move on. All right, if you followed along, you should have got your 100 points and you're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so next we're going to be adding a screen element to the flow. So you can hit your plus sign and add a screen. All right, so for the label name, we're going to call this communication preferences. When you click or tab, it'll put the API name in for you. And we're going to add a display text to this screen. So to do that, you'll come over to your search components and just put in display. And you're going to click display text and it adds it in for us. And for the API name, they want us to call it privacy prompt. And for the text box, you're just going to want to copy and paste in the values they give us here. Ooh, I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to right click, paste this plain text. There we go. That looks better. Now we need to add in a checkbox element. So we'll come back over here and just search checkbox, or if you see it here, you can add them in, and you're going to want to add in 3 of them. So you just click it 3 times. And for each one, it's going to have different values. So we're going to work through these. So let's do the first one. And you're going to put in the label here, which is I don't want to be contacted. And it'll change the label here so you can see it. And you're going to do the same thing to the other 2. Just paste it in the label. API name will populate when you tab or click out of the box. And here's the third one. Boom. Now we have all 3 of our values. And we are going to go ahead and hit done. And that adds in the new element. Now we're going to create a new record after the screen component. So we're going to scroll down and hit create records. For the label, we're going to call this create individual. And you're going to leave this under 1 record to create. And then you're going to use separate resources and literal values to create this record. And then for object, you're going to type in individual. And it'll pop up here and you click that there. Now we're going to do first name. And in our values, it's going to be under user info, and it's going to be first name. And it should be user info first name. I'm going to hit add field. Do the same thing for last name. User info. And just start typing last name. There you go. And then I just copied this off of the Trailhead. It has opted out geo tracking. Click that. And then if you click in the value section, you can see the screen components, and this is going to be, I don't want you to track my location. And you hit add field. And then you're just going to paste in what they're looking for next here, which is opt out of tracking. And this value is, you don't want it to track my usage. Add field. And this is going to be opted out of soliciting. There's an extra space at the end. Take that out. Make sure you click that. Boom. And then this one is going to be, I don't want to be contacted. And this will be manually assigned variable. Checkbox needs to be checked as well. And you're going to search variables. And this is going to be individual ID. And hit done. Now make sure you save your flow and you can go ahead and verify back on the Trailhead to see if you get your 100 points and able to move on. All right, if you followed along, you should have got your 100 points and you're ready to tackle the next step. All right, next we're going to add another element, and it's going to be an update records element. And we're going to go ahead and hit our label here that they give us, update contact with individual, tab over, and it gives us the API name. And we're going to specify conditions to identify records and set field values individually. And this will be the contact object. Perfect. And this is going to be ID, contact ID. And we'll leave this as equals. And I copied this off the other Trailhead thing. It's going to be user info.contact ID. And for setting the field values for the contact records, you're going to search for the individual ID and you're going to set the value to individual ID. Just like that. And you're going to hit done. That adds our element in, and go ahead and hit save and verify back on the Trailhead website and see if you're able to move on. Okay, looks like we passed that and we're ready to tackle the next step here. Now, lastly, we're going to add a screen component here. They call it the thank you text. So we'll hit screen. Now for the label, they gave us that. Welcome to Ursa Major. Click out of the box or tab and you can get your API name. And we're going to be searching for display text again. And we're going to add that in. And for API name, they gave us thank you. And copy and paste what they gave us from Trailhead in here so that we can populate the thank you text. And we're going to hit done. And go ahead and save. And we can actually go ahead and activate this flow. Now let's go ahead and verify to see if we get our badge or not. All right, looks like we got our badge for create a self-registration flow for an Experience Cloud site. If you followed along, that means you got your badge too, which is great. They actually have another Trailhead lesson to see it in action. If you're interested in seeing the flow in action, the link for this Trailhead project is in the description as well. It's called Self-Registration in a Portal. This is a little bit out, like an hour and 15-minute project as well. They have 3 different settings here. So I may do this project in the future as a part 2 to this video, but this is part 1, at least setting up the flow. And this is a great exercise to learn using Flow Builder and how screen flows work and how to add the elements in. But if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out new Salesforce content each week, and I will see you in the next video.